everybody, Wannabe Reviewer here, and welcome back to the Wannabe Podcast, episode 52. Now, before we do this week's podcast, I just want to say that for anyone, that's listening to this, I hope that you either check out or continue to check out my 13 Days of Spooktober over on my YouTube channel. It's something that I'm quite proud of. Basically from the 19th through the 31st, I'm releasing 2 videos a day. One is some sort of a review or a top 7 list or part of my series of strangest fiction, which covers in real life urban legends and stuff. So at around 3 p.m., my time, I'm releasing some sort of video that has to do with, some sort of horror content, but it's in the style of an edited review or a top list or something. Then at night, at around 9 p.m., I'm releasing a horror movie review. And I'm doing those, in the fur, it's me in person recording it in my recording studio, den sort of thing. And yeah, I'm just covering 13 different horror movies that came out in 2019. And so like I said, I'm quite proud of that. It's definitely been a lot of work. Not gonna lie, guys, I'm really tired because, I'm kind of putting the final touches or wrapping up some of the final Spooktober videos. So not gonna lie, I'm really tired. It's definitely been a lot of work. Wow, I never expected it to be this much work, guys. So yeah, I'm proud of it. I think that the little event has been going pretty good. I've gotten some good reception from my lists and reviews and my in-person appearances and my new series on Strangest Fiction. People have said it's pretty interesting, that sort of thing. So I'm really proud of that. I hope you guys will check that out or continue to check it out. So just want to get that out there. But yeah, with that being said though, let's dive into my week. And as always, I'll open up with anime. And yeah, I feel not a lot happened in any of the anime that I'm going to talk about. I just felt it was kind of a slow week all around, when it comes to the first anime I want to talk about, My Hero Academia Season 4. Last week I talked about the Season 4 debut. I said it was a nice episode where we kind of get a recap, and it had to do with this reporter, he knows that Deku is All Might's successor, and it was a nice episode. It was a nice way to dip back in. Likewise, this episode was once again quite slow. Not a lot happened. Basically, they showed a lot from the villain's point of view of the show. They showed there's this new villain and he wants to do some havoc and he has a plan, and he goes and he meets up with the main villain up to now. He kind of challenges him a little bit, and so that was pretty interesting. That was kind of cool. They're definitely setting some stuff up. And from the hero side of things, mostly they showed that all the students were kind of just hanging out. All of them were told that, they have to kind of get an internship with some sort of a hero, which, they did before, but I guess this time, they have to do it again. And they're trying to get more deeper into their training. And Deku doesn't really know, where to get an internship from. He tries to see if All Might will help him, but All Might refuses. That doesn't really refuse. He kind of helps him out in a different way. And basically, at the end of the episode, I forget how you say his name. I'm so sorry, but the guy that looks like Tintin, that hero, he basically tells Deku, yeah, come with me. You can intern for the guy that used to be All Might's sidekick. And it kind of ends with, Deku meeting this guy. And so, like I said, not too much happened, but they're definitely setting some stuff up. I think it's kind of cool how, there's this whole world, that they keep building, where we're seeing some stuff with the villains. We're seeing some stuff with, Deku and how he's going to train with this guy that used to be All Might's sidekick. I thought that was really cool. So, yeah, slow week, but, I continue to get excited. As I said, I've been talking to someone that they've read the manga, and they said there's some really good stuff coming up. So, I'm excited, and, even though it's been a few slow episodes so far to begin the season, I'm sure we'll get to some hype stuff. I'm sure they're building up to it. So I continue to be excited for My Hero Academia Season 4. Moving on, I guess out of all of the anime I'm going to talk about, Beastars, in the second episode, that's probably the one where things happen the most. Basically, last week I had said I had hoped to watch at least a couple of episodes, but due to the distribution of the show, where I think it's a Netflix Japan only show, I think, if I remember correctly. So it's one of those weird things where if you want to watch it, you have to find episodes online, and it takes a while for fan subs and that sort of thing. But since the last episode and this one, watch the second episode of Beastars, and like I said, it probably is the anime that has like the most going for it in, you know, these earlier episodes. In the second episode of Beastars, we open with our wolf character, Legoshi, and at the end of the first episode, he was like holding the rabbit girl, and it looked like he wanted to attack her. And I said, you know, I don't know if he really was going to attack her or if it's like a fake out. Maybe he's like protecting her from something. I don't know. And sure enough, second episode starts, and we see that he was indeed like thinking of attacking her. And we see that he has like this inner voice that tells him, you know, kind of to like give into like his bloodlust and stuff, which is really interesting. But he's like trying to fight it. And the rabbit girl, I don't remember, I think like she escapes somehow, or he like lets go because someone calls him. But you know, he ends up letting go of her, but he does kind of like scratch her paw, you know, slash hand or whatever, leaves a mark. And he's, you know, of course, ashamed of himself and how he almost attacked like a fellow student or whatever. And so the rest of the episode kind of shows him dealing with that guilt. We see more of like the students and they're like, talking about the play or whatever. The main guy who's gonna like lead the main part, he's injured and there's like a whole thing going on there where he's trying to be brave in front of everybody. And we see some drama there. And where it gets kind of interesting is at the end of the, you know, second episode, they send Legoshi, because he works kind of like the behind the scenes stuff. They send him to get flowers like for the play or whatever. And when he goes to like the garden club, the rabbit girl that he attacked, she's there. And it seems like she doesn't recognize him. And he's like super embarrassed because he feels so ashamed of himself, and he kind of wants to say something, but he doesn't know what to say. And he sees that she's injured, and he kind of wants to ask her, you know, like what's wrong, but she kind of like doesn't really say anything about it. She kind of dances around it. And so he's kind of dealing with that and like the embarrassment and stuff. He doesn't know what to say. And then at the end of the episode where she finally like, gives him the flowers or whatever, and I think she asks him if he like wants something to eat or whatever. And like I said, he's just dealing with like the shyness and like he just feels so bad about how he almost attacked her. For whatever reason, she goes, oh, so I guess you want it too or whatever. And she like closes the blinds and starts undressing. And she's like, well, it's gonna be like my first time with like a carnivore, but like, let's do this or whatever. And so like, yeah, it ends with her basically ready to like have sex with him, which is like really, didn't expect that. And yeah, it's really weird because, you know, like I said about the first episode, you always hear that all like the other rabbit girls are talking crap about this rabbit girl, and they're kind of calling her like a slut, and she's kind of like an outcast or whatever. And like, yeah, I mean, I guess she definitely has something going on, because even though she had like a traumatic event where she almost got attacked the night before, like she's acting very normal about it, and she's willing to just jump this guy's bones that she doesn't even know and stuff. And like, I don't know, it's one of those things where it's interesting because they're kind of showing you that the characters definitely have some stuff going on. And it's interesting because like I've compared to Zootopia and stuff, and obviously Zootopia being like a Disney thing, they're not going to show how, you know, those kind of like relationships work between like the animals. So the fact that they're showing it here, that's pretty interesting, you know? And I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to like turn down her offer for sex, but whether that leads to them actually talking and maybe becoming a couple, or like, I don't know where this is leading. But yeah, like I said, Beastars is just very interesting. It's weird seeing this world of like predators and prey, and predators that, you know, they like our main character, he kind of has like that bloodlust to like kill and whatever, and him dealing with it. And like, I don't know, I'm definitely interested to see where the show goes, because it looks like there's like not only drama within like the drama club, you know, like I said about like the guy getting injured and him trying to like be brave and stuff, but there's also like these whole relations between like different species and everything. So I've enjoyed Beastars so far. I think it's interesting. Only seen 2 episodes so far, but so far, you know, I recommend it. I think it is quite an interesting show, and I want to see where it takes things. So there you go. Moving on, once again, talking about No Guns Life, episode 3, you know, just showed more of our hero and his little team, the kid that he saved in like the first 2 episodes. Basically, you know, he was conscious or whatever, they were talking to him. These guys show up kind of threatening that they want, the gun guy, they want his help to like take down these people that's like on their turf. Basically, he says like, screw you, I don't feel like helping you. You guys should be strong enough to like protect yourselves. One of the guys actually kind of agrees and says like, you're right, you know, and you have balls for standing up to us, but like kind of like watch your back. Then after that, I think there was like a small part where they show that, they talk about like how kids are being targeted, and they kind of experiment on kids, you know, in that city. And like the main kid that the gun guy saved, he says he wants to like go help them and like, you know, this sort of thing. And so they end up trying to track down these 2 girls that at first it seems like they're victims, but then, you know, one of them transforms and looks like they're enemies. And I don't don't know, that's kind of as far as we got. But as I said before, it's a very interesting premise. Love the whole detective thing. I love like the seedy underbelly. I love how there's like a bunch of crime and there's a conspiracy going on. I think that's really cool. I think it's cool that, only anime could get away with us having a protagonist who has a gun for a head, but it's still like cool, So I think that's really fun. And yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the first like 2 episodes, I feel like a lot happened, and this 3rd episode was a little bit slower. So I think I'll try to watch one more episode before I kind of, let this one go until the end of the season. But sure enough, so far I've enjoyed it. Like I said, I think it's interesting. I think the, detective aesthetic and like the whole noir thing it has going on, all of these like different cyborg looking robot people find each other, I think that's really cool. And yeah, I'm just interested to see where the story goes, because it's like I said, like this episode is kind of slow, but there's definitely like this whole conspiracy about children being experimented on and our main character not knowing like who turned him into like a gun person, all that good stuff. So I'm interested. I want to see where this story goes. Once again, that's No Guns Life, and yeah, I'll try to talk about it for one more episode, because this episode was kind of slow. So I don't know, hopefully we get like some more going next week. So there you go. Finally, that brings us to Rifle is Beautiful. Last week I only watched the 1st episode. This time I watched the 2nd episode. And honestly, I don't know. I mean, it's not there's anything specifically wrong with the show, but it's just not the show for me. Like I'm just not very interested in it. Even though in the 2nd episode, they do talk more about, like the rifles, and they talk about, like technique, and they talk about how they want to like, I guess basically, they want to sign up for like a competition to like go up against other schools and stuff. They did focus a little bit more on the club. Like, I don't know. I just don't think the club's very interesting. The characters, I don't really feel like they have anything very unique going on. I feel like they're all they all basically have the same personality, give or take like a couple of little things. Like, I don't think they're very unique, or like any of the characters really stand out to me. And I don't know. I mean, like I guess I would recommend it if, like I said last week, if you enjoy, shows about like cute girls doing cute things and, friends hanging out in some sort of like a club setting, doing some sort of an activity or whatever. If you're like really into those types of anime, maybe you'll like this. But as for me, like, I just don't know. Like I said, it's just not my thing. I'm just not very interested. This is probably the last week I'll talk about it, unless, next week something very interesting happens that makes me go like, whoa, guys, total 180 or something. Unless something really interesting happens, probably won't talk about it until the end of the season. Because, yeah, just personally, Rifle is Beautiful. I don't think it's very interesting. I don't really think it has much going on. I've heard about that there's another anime currently ongoing about girls in a club doing something I think does interest me a little bit more. So next week, if I'm able to check it out, maybe I'll talk about that anime, Because yeah, like for the time being, this one just isn't really doing it for me. So once again, show's called Rifle is Beautiful. If it sounds interesting to you, check it out. But as for me, I'm very just on the show. So yeah. Alrighty, when it comes to something new, the only other thing that I did of note, that this one was a big deal for me, is that I watched BoJack Horseman Season 6, Part 1. So basically, I think I talked about like a few weeks back. This is the last season of BoJack Horseman. The first half of the season was going to premiere October 25th, 2019. And the second half is going to be, I think, January, I want to say it was like 20th, 2020, something like that. I'm not exactly sure. I know for sure it's like October and January, but I'm not sure of the date. But yeah, I watched the first, 8 episodes of the season, it's what makes up part 1. And I really enjoyed it. Like I really hope to, leading up to this second part of Season 6, I'm hoping to go back and kind of like I did for like Attack on Titan. I hope to maybe like cover each season, because I think I covered like season like 4, and then I never went back for season 5, and now we're like coming up to season 6, and even then, like season 4, my review, I think Netflix claimed it, and like they monetized it, a bunch of like dumb stuff. So I think I'm gonna try to go back and cover like every season, and hopefully this time, without getting it like copyright claimed or whatever. But that aside, really enjoyed it. It continues to just be an awesome show. That the way it tackles all these mature themes is really good. And the way it like manages to like balance it out with comedy, like I feel like there's not very many shows that pull that off. So like, props to that show. And yeah, I mean, for anyone who kind of just wants like a little bit of recap or whatever, basically, at the beginning of the season, BoJack, he checks himself into rehab because at the end of last season, he was like in a really dark place where he got like really addicted to like these like pain pills or whatever. And basically, after something really bad happens, he decides that he wants to like check into rehab so he can finally get help. And sure enough, most of these first 8 episodes deal with him being in rehab. And it's about him trying to finally take responsibility for his actions. Because, like, it's not just about him saying, I'm an asshole and, like, I need to be better. But it's about him, what will he actually do to be better? Like, how will he hold himself responsible? And I think the way the show really tackles that was really interesting, Like, seeing this character that he wants redemption, but he's working for it. He's not just, like, saying, okay, I've hurt people and that's, like, the end of the story. Like, it's about him really trying to figure out what he can do to make it up to people and change. And even after he gets out of rehab, like, the story isn't over. It's like about, I have to live the rest of my life trying to stay sober and like, like making good decisions and stuff. So like that was, really interesting, really deep stuff. Likewise though, like I said, there's still some pretty good comedy. Really appreciate that. I think it's kind of cool how they show the rest of the characters. At this point, Princess Carolyn and Todd and Mr. Peanut Butter and Diane, they're basically just as important as BoJack is. So seeing how, we see stuff with like BoJack in rehab, then we cut to like a different character, and then sometimes they interact with him while he's in rehab, and then seeing how once he gets out of rehab, how he kind of, meets up with these people as they're dealing with stuff. I think the way it does that is like really good. I think every character they focus on and every plot point, really interesting. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to describe without really spoiling it or getting too deep into it. But like I said, I think the deep themes are like there. I think they hit really hard. I think the comedy continues to be really good. I think the characters continue to be really like interesting and like, I don't know, everyone just has like a different thing going on that makes them memorable and makes them worth watching. And yeah, when it comes to like, okay, since it's going to be a 2-part sort of thing, like what happens near the end of the first part? Like, does it make it like, is there like a cliffhanger? How does that work? And without giving it away, I think they do it in a very interesting way where that like last episode or two, it definitely is setting up for some like really like hardcore stuff in part 2, I think, because something that the show has always kind of dealt with is that like your mistakes don't just go away. Even though BoJack is trying to make himself a better person, he's trying to be responsible, there's still a lot of really bad things he's done. Like, he's been a terrible person. And seeing how some of these things are still around and they seem like they're getting ready to bite him in the ass, like, it's really interesting. And it's, like, really, like, tense. Like, it really gets you going, like, oof, like, what's gonna happen? It gets you kind of anxious, Because, like, I don't know. I mean, it's crazy how there's, like, so many bad things he's done. And you kind of see that, like, it's a small world out there. And, things don't just go away. Like, something he did to this person at the same time runs into this person that he also did a thing to, and when this person talks to this person, they uncover this thing, and like, oh man, it's hard to explain, but it's all over the place. And yeah, this second part, I don't know, man, because like BoJack, he's always working to be a better person. He's really trying, but like the show kind of asks, like, does he deserve a happy ending? Because it's trying to be realistic. And honestly, with the way that last episode ended, and where, like I said, it looks like some stuff's going to come back to bite him in the ass, it will be really interesting to see what happens. And if he'll be able to, like, move on or get redemption or have a happy ending. So I'm excited. I can't wait until, like I said, part 2. I'm going to try to see if I can kind of hopefully catch up, do some reviews of each season, that sort of thing. But I recommend it. I've always recommended the show, I think, since like season 2. Season 1 was kind of rocky, but since like season 2, I've always recommended it. I think it's a great show. Of course, it's on Netflix. It premiered on October 25th. Trust me, I was up since like 3 a.m. because I couldn't sleep, and I like binge watched the whole thing. And yeah, I think it's worth it. So it's on Netflix now. Check it out. Alrighty guys, and like I said, that basically brings me to the end of my week. Not too much happened because I've just been busy with Spooktober stuff, but hopefully next week, I'll be back with hopefully some new anime, hopefully these anime that I talked about, hopefully more exciting things happen, and video games too. I didn't really talk about video games. I've been hoping to play Indivisible, but I never got around to it this week. Which, speaking of which, I've heard some very mixed things, so I am very curious to like see for myself what I think about it. But yeah, hopefully next week, guys, hopefully I have like more, anime to talk about. Hopefully in the anime there's more exciting things that happen. Hopefully I can talk about like Indivisible, maybe Luigi's Mansion 3, that sort of thing. But for now, that's the end of my week. So, there you go. Let's move on to the news, I guess. When it comes to the news, like I said, there are lots of interesting little stories, but most of them, I feel like they're just like, little announcements and stuff. Like, I don't feel like there's a lot of concrete things just yet, but all the same, like when it comes to this first news story, I'm really excited because as the title of the article states, Suda 51 and Swery 65 team up for indie horror game Hotel Barcelona. So, Suda 51, guy who's famous for doing stuff like Killer 7, No More Heroes, Lollipop Chainsaw, Killer is Dead, all sorts of weird little like games. He's teaming up with Swery 65, who's the guy behind Deadly Premonition and the upcoming The Good Life and JJ Macfield and the Island of Lost Memories, He's done some really interesting games. So, it's interesting because both of these guys, they've basically been called like video game auteurs because they each have like really interesting visions for how they run their games, Like when you see a game, you can kind of tell it's from them because they have like these interesting like things they like to incorporate. And so yeah, seeing they're going to team up, it's really interesting, Basically on the 23rd, they had this little like stream where they said that, yeah, they're teaming up for a horror game. It's supposed to be called Hotel Barcelona. And yeah, it's really interesting because he says that they want to make it something that's easy to like pick up and play it for a little bit and then put it down. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, even during the thing, it's funny because Suda 51, he texted the guy who like worked on like the original Silent Hill games and that game called Siren. And he said, hey, like, would you be interested in working on this game with us? And the guy said, yeah. So that's 3 creators right there who each have like a really interesting style that they're going to work on this game. So, we don't really know too much yet. They're barely like planning the game or whatever. But just hearing that there's like these 3 guys teaming up to make a game, that sounds interesting. Something of note that was funny. They said that Devolver Digital is going to publish the game or whatever. And afterwards, it was really funny because Devolver Digital, they're like, apparently it seems like Devolver Digital didn't even know what they were talking about because they put out a tweet that said, gonna need at Suda51 and at Swery65 to pitch us this mysterious game we're supposedly publishing. Name a time and place, gentlemen. So I don't know. I thought that was really interesting. I don't know why Suda51 said Devolver Digital's publishing it when it seems like Devolver Digital didn't even like they weren't even aware. And they're like, okay, I mean, let's talk about this. But I don't know. Like I said, not too much to the story, but I do like both of these creators. So I think them teaming up to make a game sounds interesting. And so likewise, if you're a fan of stuff of Suda51, or if you're a fan of stuff by, Swery65, I mean, they're working on a game and it's going to be a horror game. And if anything, it'll at least be very interesting, I think. So when that'll come out, who knows? If it'll be any good, once again, who knows? But I'm interested in that. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that. And like I said, if you're interested in any of these 2 guys, if you enjoy their work, then I'd say keep an eye out for it too. Alrighty, moving on. This next news story, once again, very short news story. It's kind of ongoing at the moment, but it's one of those news stories that you just look at it and you just have to shake your head because it's so ridiculous. As the title of the article states, Fallout 76 reveals paid subscription service Fallout First. So for anyone, I don't remember, I think I covered the Fallout 76 at least once or twice in the past. For anyone who doesn't know, Fallout 76 was basically like this MMO that Bethesda released. And it's like an MMO based on the Fallout series. And ever since it launched, it's just been a mess where I think like there was no NPCs, there was like nothing to do in the game. I think like the servers were really bad. I think people who like ordered like deluxe editions, like the stuff that they were supposed to get, like physical items, they were like incomplete. Like, I'm just trying to think, because I know that like every like week or two, something crappy happens with this game where it's just been a mess since release. You know, like I said, whether it's stuff missing or stuff that's like glitchy, or it's like physical items that like didn't come out as promised, or it's, I think, like the game deleting your data and messing up your computer, that kind of crap. This game has been a mess. And so people, you know, they've been hoping that Bethesda will fix the game. You know, the people are like, I don't know, some people still play it and they still have hope, you know, despite everything, they still have hope. They're hanging on to that hope. But for whatever reason, instead of fixing the game, instead Bethesda decided that, no, you know, our game is fine. In fact, why don't we work on doing a paid subscription service? And you might be wondering, well, I mean, what's so bad about that? I mean, well, the game was free, right? But no, see, that's the thing. People bought the game originally for $60, and now Bethesda wants them to not only have paid, I mean, you know, let's say some people bought it cheap, right? But still, you bought the physical copy of the game, and now Bethesda, on top of you paying for the game itself, they want you to pay a subscription service to play it. And most egregious of all, if you pay $100, that gives you the pass for the year, and it gives stuff that people have been asking for since the game launched, like, for free. Like, people have been asking for, like, you know, emotes and private servers and, you know, that sort of stuff so they can play with their friends. And instead of giving it to them, Bethesda's like, we'll give it to you for $100. And even then, people who went ahead and bought it, because I guess they were curious, they reported that I think like the private servers aren't even private. Like random people still show up in your game. And then I think another thing that I had heard of, because like I said, it's kind of ongoing. Apparently some people, there's supposed to be like some sort of like a thing where you like can like place your items. And apparently it like erased everything in people's inventories. So yeah, man, if you don't know about the Fallout 76 thing, you need to read up on it, because like I said, I know that it's just been an issue like every week or two, where this game has just been like the biggest mess ever. And yeah, just hearing that Bethesda isn't bothering to fix it, and that they're basically, you know, just ignoring people's complaints and focusing on this, you know, subscription service, that's really sad. So what this is going to lead to, I don't know. But like I said, it's just a really interesting story. Seeing a company that's like this tone deaf and doesn't care, it's incredible. And yeah, I mean, they're not the only one. You know, Blizzard, Bethesda, EA. I mean, there's all these companies that are always messing up. And it's incredible, you know? So like I said, it's an interesting read. I would look it up. But yeah, if you want at least like this part of the story, link will be in the description below. But I really recommend that you just look up Fallout 76 and hopefully you get the full story. Because like I said, it's quite a read, you know? It's been quite a journey. So there you go. Finally, when it comes to my last news story that has to do with video games, like I said, not really much there. It's more of just like a little rumor, you know, sort of like thing. But Ikumi Nakamura, who's the lady from the E3 performance, the one that everybody fell in love with, you know, with like the short hair and the glasses, that she went on stage and she was like really cute and energetic, and she said that game she was working on was spooky, that sort of thing. Not long after E3, she actually left the company she was working at because she said she was looking for like new opportunities. And yeah, I mean, apparently, you know, this might be one of the things that she's hoping to work on or whatever, because as the title of the article states, Ikumi Nakamura and Hideki Kamiya want to make a new Okami game. So sure enough, like I said, after leaving, I think it was called like Tango Gameworks. That's the people that they're making that game Ghostwire Tokyo. That's the game that she was promoting at E3. Shortly after E3, for whatever reason, she left the company. She's no longer creative director. And, you know, she said that she was looking for other opportunities. And earlier this week, she showed up in a tweet with Hideki Kamiya, which, you know, he's made a bunch of the games for, like, you know, Capcom, and, you know, he's part of that new studio, Platinum, which really love their games. And basically, she showed up in a tweet with him, you know, it was a little 6-second video, and it's them saying that they hope, it's them saying Okami is going to be back. And then they give, like, a thumbs up. And then, you know, Nakamura, she tweeted that she wants it to come back, and they're hoping for a sequel, and that they want a sequel, and that the fans want a sequel, and that hopefully they can work on it. And that got people really excited, that people kind of saw that as maybe even like a announcement or whatever. Unfortunately, it seems like it's not the case, But still, it is exciting just seeing that they do have an interest in it, that they do have like their minds on it. And right after, Hideki Kamiya, he even like tweeted at Capcom or whatever, and he even said, Okami will be back someday, I believe. And he said, let's do it, Capcom. And he sent the video to them. So I don't know. It's one of those things that even though people did jump the gun a little bit and they got excited hoping that it was like set in stone, that oh man, they're working on a sequel, even though it wasn't quite that, it is still exciting to see these two really fun, creative individuals, definitely they have the game in mind. And the fact that they're pushing for it and they're kind of like saying to Capcom, hey, come on, let's do this. Let's get the game made. And if you throw in the fact that Capcom has been very receptive towards fans recently, they've been working hard with the Resident Evil series. They brought back, Devil May Cry, after a while and trying to go in a different direction and stuff. The fact that they are being a little more lenient and they are paying attention to fans more, and that they have said they're interested in bringing back IPs and stuff. Who knows? It would be awesome if the stars aligned and we definitely got a new Okami game. So I don't know. That's once again, I think that's a story that's interesting. I would definitely keep an eye out for it. And if you love the Okami series, yeah, just get excited and keep your fingers crossed. So there you go. Alrighty, moving on to movie news. My first one, once again, nothing set in stone quite yet, but basically what we do know is that Hocus Pocus 2 is moving forward at Disney+. So, for a long time, the actresses who came out in the original Hocus Pocus, they've said that they're down for a sequel. Likewise, fans have been wanting a sequel. I think Disney themselves have been interested in making a sequel, but it just hasn't happened yet. Apparently now, the thing that we do know for sure is that they apparently are working on a sequel. They have some writers, they're working on it. It's going to come out on the Disney Plus service, but unfortunately, that's all the information we have. We don't know if any of the original actors or actresses are coming back. We don't know if it's going to be a sequel or more of a reboot, thing with different characters. We don't really know anything yet, unfortunately. But still, the fact that it is called Hocus Pocus 2 and that the actresses, especially the main three, the fact that they've always shown interest in returning, that's a good sign. And the fact that, Disney is moving forward and they've hired writers and stuff, that's cool, I guess. So, I don't know, it's just one of those things where, like I said, it sucks that we don't really know what to expect yet. But yeah, the fact that it seems to be moving forward, that's pretty cool. I just hope that if they do a Hocus Pocus 2, hopefully it's in the style and spirit of the original one. The original one, man, it's just a really fun movie. I think it does just so many things right, and it's a classic, So, I don't know. Once again, as usual, I'm just hoping for the best. I'm hoping that, if they make a sequel, hopefully, they really put their heart into it and bring back the actresses and stuff. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to more news. I'm hoping, like I said, hoping for some good things. Likewise, if you like the movie Hocus Pocus 2, there you go. Keep an eye out for it. Hope for the best. Alrighty, when it comes to my second news story, this one, I don't know, man. It's just so pathetic. And at the same time, I do feel kind of bad for the guy. But at the same time, screw him. That's what he gets for being such an asshole. I don't know. Just cutting to the chase. As the title of the article states, Jared Leto tried to cancel DC's Joker movie. So yeah, it's just a really interesting read. This isn't the only place I've read about it. I know I heard about it maybe in an art podcast or something. But apparently, yeah, Jared Leto, he wanted to get Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie canceled. Because apparently, after, making the Joker, for the Suicide Squad or whatever, Jared Leto was really upset that they didn't call him back for more stuff. If you've noticed, I think they're basically ignoring his version of the Joker. Even in that upcoming movie, Birds of Prey or whatever, if you look, there's no footage of him. I think when Harley Quinn refers to him, she literally uses a crayon drawing of him, not even a picture. And I don't know, man. I just have a feeling that they're trying to totally ignore his character it ever existed. And so that's what I'm saying. In a way, I do feel bad for the guy because it does probably suck to, put your heart into the role, not get called back. Not only do you not get called back, But even then, the original, like, I've heard from a lot of the stuff he filmed for, like, Suicide Squad, it didn't even get used, you know? So, like, that's gotta suck. So, like, in that sense, I do kind of feel for the guy. But at the same time, he just sounds so melodramatic, and he sounds like such a whiny baby, you know? Like, if people didn't like his portrayal and they're trying to ignore it, like, I'm sorry, but your portrayal was really bad. It was really stupid. And if people don't want to work with you, it makes sense because you acted like an asshole on set and you were sending people like creepy stuff like used condoms and dead rats or whatever. I don't remember, but I know he was saying them all sorts of like weird stuff because, oh, I'm the Joker, I'm kooky, I'm getting into character. Like, that's so stupid, right? So, you know, if they didn't want to work with you, you know, you shouldn't have acted like such an asshole. But yeah, apparently, it says that if you read the article, it says that the actor did not respond well when he learned of Phillips' project. Todd Phillips, you know, he's the guy who directed the new Joker movie. And yeah, it says that he complained to his agents. He talked to his music manager. He was, you know, like asking his music manager to reach out to Warner to try to get the movie stopped. And I don't know. I mean, if you read about it, it says that he was just... I don't know. Like I said, I kind of get it because he obviously felt hurt, but everything that he's doing just sounds so dumb. It sounds like he was really being a crybaby and trying to just get this project shut down in like the worst way possible. So I don't know, man. Like I said, do I kind of feel for him? I guess, because it must suck to film a bunch of stuff that doesn't get used. And it must suck to see your character just get ignored, basically. But at the same time, you know, I feel like he kind of brought this upon himself. And yeah, at the same time, you know, if I never have to see Jared Leto's Joker again, good, you know, because his Joker really sucked. And especially after seeing like the new like Joaquin Phoenix version of the Joker, who is like the right amount of like creepy and unsettling and unhinged, it makes Jared Leto's Joker look that much worse, you know? So yeah, you know, I mean, sucks for Jared Leto, but like I said, kind of feel like a lot of it's his own fault. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting story. Seeing his behavior and how he was freaking out, it's really pathetic. So if you want to read it, you know, links in the description below. I'm sure if you like Google it, you can probably find even more information about it, like maybe a little more in depth. But it's definitely an interesting story. And yeah, it's quite a read. So there you go. All right, moving on. I think this one's pretty exciting because, yeah, basically Adventure Time, it ended not that long ago. It ended in 2018, actually, so it was about a year ago. And Adventure Time's a show that I just really like. I think it's really fun. And even though I do think the ending was fine, you know, I still kind of wanted some more closure, especially when it comes to like Finn and Jake. And luckily, I mean, I say luckily because I'm excited for this. I hope it goes well. According to the title, you know, it says, Adventure Time returns in 2020. HBO Max revives series with 4-hour-long specials. So I think that's really cool. Even though the series did officially end, you know, on Cartoon Network, this is kind of like a revival thing where it's adding on to the story, I guess. And yeah, it's supposed to just be 4 new episodes. One's going to focus on Marceline and Princess Bubblegum. One's going to focus on BMO. One's going to focus on Peppermint Butler. And I think it's said like the other wizards. And then the last one's supposed to focus on Finn and Jake. It's something about how it's about them being brought back together. So I don't know if maybe they've fallen apart a little bit. So I'm excited for this. As long as it's made by the same people who made, you know, the Cartoon Network version, I think that's awesome. And I'm totally not against this, you know, because like there's some things that, while I do feel they have like a very definitive end, like Gravity Falls, for instance, and I don't want them to mess with it. I feel like Adventure Time ended in a very open, you know, kind of ambiguous way, where if you want to add some more stories after the, you know, so-called like finale, I think it works, you know, I think we can still, there's still some stories to tell. So I'm definitely excited for this. I definitely look forward to it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how many of you are fans of Adventure Time, but like I said, hopefully this is like good news to you guys. And yeah, it comes out in 2020 on HBO Max. So I'm definitely going to have to find a way to like, you know, watch that. But yeah, as soon as as soon as it launches, I'm excited to hopefully check that out. So I don't know. There you go. All right, finally, my last news story. It's an anime news story. And like I said, not too much. We don't have too much information or anything yet, but I still think it's kind of cool. I think it's exciting because it's a show that I really enjoyed. And as the title of the article states, Kaguya-sama Love is War anime gets second season. So, unfortunately, do we have a release date for when it's going to come out? No. Do we have any information, like what season it's going to come out or how many episodes or anything? Once again, also no. But I'm glad that a second season got announced because, you know, with a lot of shows, I feel like they're announcing the second season, like, as soon as, like, the first season ends. Sometimes, you know, like even before it ends. And so when I didn't hear about a second season for this show, I gotta admit, I got a little bit worried. So I was wondering, like, oh man, you know, I definitely want to see more. Hopefully they make more. So hearing that they finally announced that there is going to be a season 2, that's exciting. And yeah, guys, I mean, I don't know if any of you have checked out Kaguya-sama Love is War. I know I did talk about it on the podcast and stuff, but if you haven't watched it, awesome show. Really funny manga, has to do with these two geniuses. One's the vice president of the student government. The other one is the president of the student government. And basically it's all these shenanigans they get into because they don't want to show weakness and admit that they like the other person. And so it's all these mind games of them trying to like get the other person to confess their love. And it's really funny. It kind of feels like Death Note, like in like a romance comedy sort of thing. It's like a really weird to describe it, but it's really funny. The rest of the supporting characters are really funny. And I don't know. I mean, it's just a really fun show overall. Like I said, I would go check it out. So I'm excited for a second season. I hope it continues to be as charming and as funny as the first season. And like I said, if you haven't checked it out yet, I'd say go check it out. I'm excited, you know? So hopefully we get the second season of Kaguya-sama Love is War. Hopefully we get it soon. There you go. Alrighty, guys, and with that being said, that brings us to the end of another news week. As usual, hopefully there was something that you guys found entertaining or informative or educational or whatever. I know that a lot of the stories, like I said, they were kind of short because it was basically just like an announcement or like a thing that people are hoping to work on, you know, that sort of thing. But all the same, hopefully you guys, you know, there was a news story that interested you guys. And yeah, with that being said, I think we should move on to the last segment of the podcast, which is, of course, the Content Creator Spotlight. And, you know, this fourth week to round out, you know, this Spooktober content creator thing I've been doing, my content creator for this week, once again, it's a channel that in one way or another, I think fills that, you know, Spooktober / like horror like theme or whatever. And I am, of course, talking about a channel that I've mentioned before, and oh man, their breakup, you know, it still hurts me to this day, especially during this season. But I am, of course, talking about Super Best Friends Play. Now, Super Best Friends Play, like I said, I talked about them before, and, you know, they did all sorts of LPs and all sorts of content. You know, they had a podcast, they had a series where every Friday they would play a different fighting game, they had all sorts of LPs going on, they had some live-action skits that were really fun, they had a way to just... They were like really influential where they basically got a bunch of games made or recognized. Like earlier I mentioned Swery 65. When they did an LP of Deadly Premonition, like Swery 65 knows who they are. And when they broke up, he was sad about it. He tweeted about it. Likewise, you know, that game, Metal Wolf Chaos, the one about the president in the Mac, it's thanks to them doing an LP, you know, on a like, hacked system or whatever because of how like it never got localized or whatever. That's what got the game basically remade because the people behind it just they had such a good time with these guys LP. And you know they know everybody from Team 4-Star to a bunch of wrestlers to they know a bunch of like different artists, you know, they know all sorts of like voice actors and actual actors. Like they have a video they had a podcast episode where they had Guy Seehee, who was the voice actor for James Sutherland in Silent Hill 2. They have an episode where they had Guy Seehee as a guest. And they have like another video where it's like a little promo for like a WrestleMania sort of like LP they were doing. And they have the guy who voices Big the Cat and Duke Nukem. You know, he's in like a few different voices. They had him cutting a promo for them. So these guys, I'm just telling you, man, they were super influential, awesome channel, and I could gush about them all day, but the way they circle back to the whole, you know, Spooktober theme is that every year, you know, for the month of October, they would do 31 different horror games every night. And they did this for 7 years in a row, and they would call it the Shitstorm, you know, kind of like I guess you're so scared you're gonna shit yourself. And yeah, for 7 years, man, every October, for 31 days, they would do a different horror game. And so that's what I would suggest looking up, guys. I think if you want to like see like some good horror games, or you just want to like see some fun videos with fun banter and stuff, I would look up the Shitstorm, because these videos are just so fun, man. Like I said, man, before they broke up, there was just good chemistry between these guys. And just seeing them play all these horror games and freaking out or being confused at like the jankiness or making fun of one another and all that stuff, it was really fun. And so yeah, that's why my last content creator for this month or whatever, I suggest looking up Super Best Friends Play, specifically their different Shitstorm series. Because like I said, fun content, really cool, you know, LPs and stuff. Definitely introduced me to a lot of like really unique like indie games or like really obscure games like Rule of Rose and Haunting Ground, that sort of thing. So yeah, definitely guys, I would say check them out. I would say show them some love. Unfortunately, they did break up at this point, so even if you sub to them, I don't know how much of a difference it makes, but I don't know, man. I just think their content is really fun. That's all I'm going to say. I would say check it out, and I think you'll see what I mean. I think their content speaks for itself, so there you go. Alrighty guys, with that being said, that brings me to the end of another podcast. That is one more in the bag. I hope you guys continue to enjoy my Spooktober content. I'm really excited for the last day of Spooktober. Kind of a hint of what you can expect. It's going to be a celebration sort of thing because it also marks a milestone for the channel. And so yeah, hopefully you guys continue to enjoy my Spooktober content. Share it with others. Definitely, you know, I would appreciate more subscribers and more watch hours, that sort of thing. And yeah, next time you guys hear me on the podcast, we should be past Spooktober and we should be back to normal. Look forward to that, I guess. And yeah, I'll try my best to be back here next week for episode 53. Until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. My name is a Wannabe Reviewer. I'm pretty tired, but I still have some Spooktober things to finish up. I'll see you guys next time.